So let's start with your chief complaints. I know you've documented everything, but just
Hmm.
I know you're having fatigue issues still, some leg weakness issues, like complaining that old people are passing you by. And
Yeah. It's true.
so with the fatigue, like here's the thing, when I was reading your update is in just your follow-up and everything. Some of your fatigue could just be from parasites, some of the fatigue could be from overtraining, which we have to talk about, like when you do your high
Okay.
intensity interval training, maybe pushing it too far that day and then feeling the next day. Um, so if you were to explain your fatigue, it's not so clear from just the highlights, but if you were to explain your fatigue from before we interacted together and now, is it what parts are different, what parts are better, worse, like just specific to fatigue? Fatigue, I mean like muscle endurance, cognitive fatigue, everything.
Yeah. So the first thing that comes to mind that's better is my peaks and dips of energy are not as extreme. And I think that's the diet that's helping.
And you think, I mean,
Um,
specific to blood sugar stability or the removal of foods?
Probably both.
Okay.
I think it's blood sugar and different reactions. And my bloating is like it's not completely gone, but I still do coffee enemas a lot, but it's still like it's so much better.
Okay. But what about the fatigue itself? What about like cognitive fatigue and muscle endurance?
Okay, so the muscle endurance may have gotten worse.
That's what it seems like when I was reading your
I
follow.
hate to say that. But I think I've also noticed that it's very consistently like one way. I've noticed that my body can feel good, but it's my legs from my glutes down to my feet. And it seems to be only in the middle of the day, which is weird because my legs get better at the end of the day.
What
Um,
what kind of exercise are you doing with your high intensity interval training?
so we have a trainer that the bike clamps into so that it's stationary and it's not up to me to balance it. Um, and I adjust the resistance so that I can pedal really fast and get my heart rate up into zone 5 without like I have it just high enough that I can pedal as fast as I can and get my heart rate into zone 5, but not so hard that I have to push or that my legs slow down
Okay.
so
Is
they
there
can go really fast.
is there any relationship with your leg endurance issues the day after your workouts?
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay.
I
How about
don't think so. Maybe, but in the past, it's always been really immediate. And now I don't know that it's correlated. I almost am starting to think I'm having reactions to something because sometimes I'll do it even if my legs are weak and it doesn't seem to make it worse. Sometimes that's better after I do it. It's just really tough to say.
yeah, I mean, okay. So it's
And
like
so it's not like I thought it was going to be because I can wake up sometimes from not sleeping very well. And I thought, oh, I won't have very good tolerance today. But I went home and I just experimented. And there was a lot of times that I just felt great after.
okay. Is there anything you found any associations with your leg fatigue?
No, no. I mean, so this is the weird thing. When I was fasting, you said to do some light strengthening exercises, and I would do 10 to 20 squats, and my legs would just get progressively weaker, specifically during the fast.
Yeah, that's a,
Squats, body weight squats for me, my legs have always been the strongest part of my body. I struggle to do 10 push-ups. I strain and like grunt, and my arms are nowhere near fatigued like my legs are. It's
is it
so
both
unequal.
it's both
Hmm?
legs? It's both legs.
Yep, both legs equally from my hips down to my toes. And so there's that. And then there's another component where I've had a few times, and this is less frequent, but it just feels like, those lead vests at the dentist?
Yeah.
It just feels like my whole body is covered in a suit of lead.
Okay. Okay. I mean, there's a couple things to think about. So
Yeah.
usually, when you look at there's like neurological brain fatigue. Have a little concern with you because you have symptoms of your frontal lobe that was involved. And you had dyspraxia and motor movement imbalances that were there.
Yeah.
But when you have both legs involved that are symmetrical and fatigue, it's usually metabolic. Like neurological will usually have hit one limb or one side more than the other. When it's like
Mm.
legs, you could be entirely metabolically fatigued, but you're using your legs all the time, so you feel it more in your legs. And if you were, like, let's say, I don't know, working at a
Hmm.
cash register all day or doing something where your hands are moving all day, you might come into, oh, my arms are completely exhausted. It just happens you're not using as
It
much.
doesn't happen with the push-ups though, and I struggle with push-ups. I've got skinny, long arms.
Yeah, but push-ups are just like a few reps.
And
Yeah, I
10
mean, it's
minus
true.
5 is all I can do at once. So
So I'm not sure. So we have a little bit of enigma what's happening with your leg fatigue. I couldn't just tell you like right off the bat, oh, it's this. I'm not really sure yet. Okay.
I know, yeah, it's weird.
Okay. Oh,
Really
so
weird.
when we look at your first chief complaint, when we look at moderate severe fatigue, your overall like energy wise with your diet and everything has made you less up and downs, but your leg endurance is more expressed on certain days. Yeah.
Yep. And then in the middle of the day, like around 11 to 12:30 until maybe 4 or 5 o'clock,
Yeah.
I very often have just, I wouldn't call it, sometimes it's a crash and sometimes it's just a significant dip. And
Okay.
sometimes I don't really have it. But I notice I brighten up a lot uh, towards, I don't know, it's not necessarily dinner, but it's just the evening. And even like now, I'm doing better than I was at 2 o'clock today. And I'm not a late person.
Okay. Does it does your fatigue have anything to do with the amount of cognitive activity or stimulation you have that day?
I don't have much stimulation, you know? Like I was watching some of your course today and I'm like, I had a dip and I'm like, was that 45-minute period from, cause enough to cause this? I just don't think so. Usually I feel energized by that stuff.
Mm,
Maybe I need to make another point to pay more close attention and do more different types of cognitive things.
okay.
Because the truth is, the last few months have been kind of rough, and I have dropped out of Swedish class. I I have dropped out of a lot of stuff, and I've been sleeping and resting a lot.
That's good. Okay, well, I'm not so try to see if you can start to develop some relationship with anything you're doing. You could have 45 minutes of cognitive stimulation fatigue you, for sure. You know,
Okay.
but you got to try to find some of those relationships, or start to be very conscious in finding those connections because like nothing's a mystery. Like nothing's like, oh, it's so weird. It's just only weird when we don't
Yeah,
like what
the cause.
the mechanism is that's triggering it. And sometimes it's obvious, sometimes not obvious, but um, you want to look there. So you said well, we talked about your leg fatigue, we talked about your overall energy, and then I want to talk to you more about your diet because you're having this 11 to 4 5, 11 o'clock to 4 o'clock low, 11 to 4 low period. Um, what about your cognitive endurance? And you dropped out of some of these classes just to have more chance to recover and rest, but how has that been?
Yeah, I've been kind of checked out. It's and I'm attributing it to the parasite medicine
Yeah,
because I feel like I had a break and I just kind of started lifting. I could feel myself lifting out of that.
yeah,
But 3 weeks of parasite meds, 3 days of fasting, the liver flush it hits me pretty hard, and then I'm back into the medicine again. So there's not much of a break, and
yeah,
I'm back on those medicines again for another 3 months.
yeah. I mean, you're getting them out. They're coming out. The helmets are coming.
Yeah, you know what? It's kind of slowed down.
That's good. I mean, you might be getting rid of them before they hatch.
I
And
hope.
yeah, that's the goal. I mean, that's the whole
Mm.
cycling in of these meds. Uh, you got to get rid of them. I mean, they are parasites. They will use your micronutrients. They'll use your energy. They'll.
I would love to know how I'm going to feel when I don't have that happening anymore.
It might take you many months to recover after you're done with all your meds and everything. So that's another consideration is your fatigue just exasperated with the heavy meds you're on while you're going through that. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and then overall, were you able to get thyroid hormones on your last trip to the US?
I started getting them from an endocrinologist here.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And is it
I think she's probably going to trend towards reducing my dosage still.
okay?
I don't know.
Is it what kind of which was it a T4 T3 combination or what was it?
It's no, it's two separate ones. I'm on 125 micrograms of T4 and 20 of T3 right
Okay,
now.
that's great because you had some conversion issues with T4 to T3, so
Yeah.
it should give you some T3. So that's pretty good. Okay, now it's kind of like you have your gallstone issues, and then the interesting thing is how many stones came out when you did the flush. Did those
Less
stones
than
float or do they sink?
they float
They
and they're
float.
white.
If they're floating, that's just fat. It's not so much the stones then.
Oh, okay.
Gallstones that sink, we know the actual stones in there, but that's just the
Oh,
shape
if
of
they
that
sink, then I
bile.
might not see.
Yeah. I really think it's very likely you could have some of these parasites inside your gallbladder, and that's what's impacting your ejection fracture. But
Yeah.
those little stones you're having, if they're floating, that's fat particles. I mean, fat globules that are really there from the oils and all the things you do when you do a gallbladder flush. And
Okay.
actual stones, like if you put them in water, they would just sink. So
Okay. They're hard. Like they make a clattering sound in
yeah,
the.
I mean, they're
Okay.
still like thick bile to some sense, but they're not necessarily like a hardcore stone that would cause obstruction or those other.
Yeah. Okay.
It still has
Makes
its
sense.
flushing out a little bit, but it's not like you were filled with all those gallstones and they're all out. It's just
Mm.
you're just flushing out a bunch of big gallbladder, which is not a bad idea when you have lots of parasites. That could be.
Yeah.
Okay. When you were doing the gallbladder flush, did you notice when you're having more release of parasites?
I don't think so.
Okay.
In the past, I would say I thought you
It's just the
did.
coffee enemas that seem to be directly related to the release of
Good.
worms. Yep.
Yeah, that's good. Get them
And
out.
I don't know if I mentioned it, but I definitely had liver flukes before. I just didn't know what they were until later.
Okay.
Lots of them and big ones.
Yep. And you had that crisis situation I was reading about where you had a hard time getting one of the parasites out after an enema.
I had what?
Did you have difficulty with an enema? I remember reading in here.
Oh, sometimes the enemas don't come back out.
Yeah. Back in December,
That-
you had some issues with.
yeah, and that seems to be I stopped doing them while I was fasting and also after the flush. I'm kind of guessing that the ducts are clogged and that the bile is not moving through so that it's not releasing the enema as
Yeah.
powerful. And
Now,
it's just
how many days were you able to do 3-day fasts?
so I'll be doing I did four. It's in between each parasite round.
So you've done a total of 12-day fast, 12 days of full fasting.
Yeah. hmm
Right.
And well, no, I did one that was 5 days, and you said don't do that. Do
Yeah,
3.
there's muscle mass. Okay. Do you notice any difference as just in your general brain function and brain fog, or can you not tell after you've done, say, before the fasting at 4 days of 3-day fast versus now?
I think it's easier for me to do it.
It's easier for you to do it, so you become more like
Yeah,
metabolically fit. But what about cognitive function and brain fog and those kind of symptoms?
I think it's getting better. What do you say?
In terms of, are you
During the fast, right?
Well, for sure during the fast you should notice something, but afterwards, like now, just in general.
But Dr. President, are you saying as a result of the accumulation of
Yeah.
those, like over time?
Specifically, these symptoms here, like your frontal lobe symptoms, focus, attention, concentration.
I have fits and spurts of feeling better, but I think that's a lot to do with the parasite meds, and I'm struggling with that still.
Yeah, that's the hard thing is
They're rough.
you can't really get a real clear indication of this is, but it's always hard when like you have multiple treatments being done at the same time.
Yeah,
Sometimes you have to do that, like now,
yeah.
but you lose your window of really seeing some of the effects of some of the treatments that may be doing? Because typically when people will start doing rounds of fasting and have done like you have 4 of them, 3 days, they start to notice things clear up and the brain fog's starting to get a lot better. But
Yeah.
with you, we're not getting that clear window of what's
I
happening.
think I definitely think I've had some really bright spots that have been encouraging. And then, between the trip to the United States and the parasite meds, that trip on both directions of the trip, I had some severe reaction to something. And
Oh,
so it's been like just bam, I've been hit like steady, 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 steady with all of these things and
yeah.
haven't really caught a break.
Okay.
But there have been a couple spots that have been okay.
Mental spots. Okay. Ultimately, we want, these symptoms to go away.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So that's the form here, the metabolic assessment form. Now so what we see here, like for example, in category 10, this is your most updated one. You still have
Yeah.
lots of blood sugar symptoms here.
It's kind of starting to creep back.
Okay, so let's talk about your diet because you're saying you're having this like low period between between 11 o'clock or 4 to 5. You're having these low periods. Go through a timeline with me, like your energy level and also what you're eating. So starting from when you first wake up.
So I wake up, I take my thyroid medicine, and
What
I
time?
started taking some of the parasite meds on an empty stomach.
What time do you wake up? Just so we can time it.
5 o'clock.
Okay, 5 a.m. Okay, so you take your thyroid meds, you take your parasite meds.
Yep.
Okay.
Then like 5:40, I have breakfast with coffee, and I take the medicine that requires food.
Okay.
And then I don't eat again until 10.
Okay, so what's your first meal?
Breakfast.
I know, but what is it?
Oh, bacon and coffee and fat bombs.
Okay, bacon, coffee, and fat bombs. Okay. And that's, you said like after 5:40 or around 5:06, something like that. 5:40.
5:40.
5:40, exactly 5:40. Okay.
5:45. Creatures of habit here.
Okay, so bacon, coffee. And when you first wake up at 5, how is your energy level?
I'm best in the morning. It takes me just a couple of minutes, but like the morning is my favorite time of day. And yeah.
Okay. And when you eat your meal, your bacon, coffee, and your fat bombs, what are your fat bombs for you?
It's coconut oil, coconut butter, MCT oil. It's got some Truvia, which is like a stevia mix, cacao, and salt.
And do you feel any changes in energy after you have that? Improvements or worse?
No, I don't. No, not really. No, nothing is really changing until later. Yeah.
That's great. So, so then let's say you've eaten your first meal. Okay, then go from there.
And then 10 o'clock, I don't eat anything until I take some supplements on an empty stomach at around 9 o'clock. I eat in my empty stomach parasite meds at 9 o'clock. Then I eat lunch usually around 10. And that's a salad with chicken, arugula, cucumbers, lemon juice, olive oil, and I have some fat bombs with that.
Okay.
Then 2 hours later, I take my second dose of thyroid meds.
Okay.
And in the morning, I forgot I have water with minerals, but I stop the minerals at lunchtime. So the thyroid meds aren't binding with that.
Okay.
So then 2 o'clock, 2 hours after lunch, the medicine, then I wait another hour or two. Sometimes I've been having another coffee. And take some more meds on an empty stomach, and then I eat dinner around 4:30. And that is usually just some chicken, fat bombs. I have broccoli either at lunch or dinner.
Okay.
And
so Mary, so 10 o'clock is your lunch, and then you may have a coffee at 2, but then you don't eat again until 4.
Yeah. Sometimes I eat a little bit later lunch, like 11, but usually it's early.
Okay, and then 11 to 4 is when you're tired.
Yeah.
11 to 5. So that time between lunch and dinner.
Yep. Yeah.
Can you eat something then?
I can. It gets difficult with thyroid medicine in the afternoon. I don't like doing that.
That might be why your blood sugar is low or your ketones are low.
You think so?
Mhm.
Because I should eat a snack or something.
Usually when you have hypoglycemic tendencies, and even when you get into ketosis, you're using ketones, you can get like low ketones. Like instead of being hypoglycemia, you become hypoketonemia. And then when you're
Yeah.
looking at exactly your time frame of when your energy's low, like you say 11 to like around 4, and then you go, hey,
Yeah.
last meal's at 10. You don't need to get until like 4:30.
You think it could be that?
Yeah.
Okay. So
So
then maybe I can just take my thyroid. I was worried to take my thyroid medicine all in one dose, but maybe I should just try that out.
yeah, why are you splitting, by the way? Was that your
Because they put me, I was on compounded slow release T3 in the
yeah.
US, and they don't have that here. They just have the manufactured tablets. And I was telling her I'm still sluggish and tired. And she said, well, maybe you should split your dose so that you have more in the afternoon because we don't have slow release here.
Okay. So did you notice the difference when you split it?
I just noticed that I don't feel quite as energetic in the morning. I don't feel too much different in the afternoon, if at all, you know?
Right.
Like the morning, I went from 35 micrograms or 25 micrograms all in the morning. And I feel like if my energy was like this before, it's now kind of just like this.
Okay. You definitely want to experiment. Are you measuring your ketones, by the way?
Yeah, I don't do it every day, but I have been here and there. Yeah.
What time of the day are you checking your ketones?
So it's always before a meal or an hour after, or yeah, pretty much like that.
What are they running?
So in the morning, they've been higher. One point something when I first wake up. And then after breakfast, it's usually at 2 or more.
That's great.
Yeah, with MCT oil and the fat bombs, it helps a lot.
Yeah,
And
for
then
sure.
after lunch, it's over 3 usually.
Wow. That's
It,
awesome.
it has been in the mid twos, but I'm realizing that if I keep putting MCT oil in these fat bombs, it really helps a lot. Instead of having to take the ketone powder, which is
Yeah.
nothing's cheap, but that has minerals in it and it's fake sugar and all that.
Yeah, food's always better. Okay, so so I think you might have to experiment with your meal between 10 and 4 and see if you can adjust that.
Yeah, I can just like split my lunch in two or something.
Yeah, that's the first place to start. Because these are
Okay.
all symptoms of like you're in a low energy state, ketone state, or normally it's blood sugar when you're in ketosis. Like these crave sweets during the day, irritable if meals are missed, get lighted if meals are missed, feel eating release fatigue. Just the fact you have low energy between a specific time frame, 11 to 4, is just screaming that your blood sugar levels are dropping. Okay. So that would, I think, be something to really look at there with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Even if so, my lunch is like probably it's half my calories for the day, I would say.
Okay. Well, just experiment, but you definitely have to eat something
So,
between 11 to 4.
so at nighttime, like right now, I feel like pretty dang good, which is weird.
It's good.
But I haven't eaten since 7 hours ago. Anyway.
Yeah. It might be, you're more efficient using ketones by the time the day goes on. Not as efficient in the morning. Yeah.
Okay.
What
Gotcha.
time to work out?
I do that 8 a.m.
8 a.m. Okay. Yeah, you just have more demands after your workout, like by time 11 o'clock.
Definitely my ketones have been like 0.7 right after that. They've been low. Yeah.
So again, hypoketonemia, like you're getting in a low ketone state, and probably because you're
And then maybe
burning
that's
them all up when you exercise. And then like
yeah.
the rest of the day, you don't have that demand on your energy. So then you're fine. You might even see the
Yeah.
day you don't work out if you're not as tired between 11 and 4.
Yes, because I skipped it this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, because I didn't want to take the chance of crashing. And I was doing pretty good, wasn't I? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
that's probably the mechanism.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
All right. So that's the first low. So do you have persistent symptoms? The first one, I think we have a pretty good idea. Let's try that. Okay. The leg
Yeah.
weakness. The leg weakness, we're not sure yet.
Yeah.
Does not seem to hit. Leg is also weak, kind of stay weak. Okay. Are your legs tired at the same time between 11 and 4, or are they just all day?
It's kind of following the same trend as the energy dip. It's not
Okay.
all day.
So let's see what happens to your legs when you have something to eat. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Continue past worms, yeah. Cramping back for around 3 in the after having bacon at breakfast. Is this always, or just it happened?
No, I just haven't been following this fast. It's happened in the past with like an avocado or some guacamole after a fast, but it's only like the first meals after a fast, and then it stops.
Okay. I won't worry too much. Skin is still very dry. Even with all the healthy fats you're eating, your skin is very dry.
Yeah.
You just may have that gallbladder getting in the way of absorbing all your healthy fatty acids.
Oh no.
Just give it time. I think if you're on your way to improve that,
Should I take any acids or salts with that?
I would just wait. Like you just
Okay.
got to get your helminth parasitic load reduced and recover. Okay, movement sounds in left ear seems to increase off parasite meds. Yeah, parasite meds can cause stuff like that. All right. What are your main concerns? Currently following AIP, FODMAP, keto diet. I'm eating the same things every day with the intention to minimize the bloating, inflammation, and short term. Long term, I know this creates sensitivities. Please let me know if you would like me to start reducing foods. So you're really at the point where you have so many different potentials of symptoms causing you some persistent fatigue. I don't know if you want to jump in, and even if you'd even be able
That's
to.
totally fine. Yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to let you know that that's what I've been doing.
Okay. Can you say if AIP is for life for me? I think there's some degree of it. You do have antibodies to neurological tissue and intrinsic factor, and I think it was in stomach autoimmunity. There's a few of those markers from Cyrus-Ray-5.
Yeah.
You had antibodies too. Let me see. I think I have it here.
It was the parietal cells, the intrinsic factor, and the ASO something.
Yeah.
ASO.
Azogangliocytes, cytochrome 50, intrinsic factor, and some degree of concern about which foods can trigger your immune response. There's going to be something, whether you have to be completely 100% strict.
That's going to be something we'll feel our way through, I think, right?
Yeah. I mean, just like anytime someone starts to switch into autoimmunity, they're just more prone for inflammation from foods. So you got to figure out which ones your body is responding to and not responding to. Okay. Okay. So even small excursion in the diet, getting to upper low broccoli per low FODMAP offers results in bloating. How can I address SIBO? Well, we're trying to look at SIBO really from the brain gut component. So we're trying to start to keep promoting autophagy and you clear your system if that changes.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is parasitic infections are very inflammatory in the gut and in the nervous system. So there's like some overlap between is your chronic SIBO and really a combination of just the parasites and some brain gut axis dysfunction, or if your parasites clear up, does this dramatically change? We don't know. So we don't. Okay, the extreme exhaustion, moodiness coming in both legs of intentional travel to USA mostly.
Oh man, it was bad.
I mean, a lot of this could just be brain fatigue, or brain inflammation triggered by things. It's hard to say because I just suspect you have some prime glial cells. As you've been learning about prime glial cells, those relationships where you get some unproportional responses. But right now, I don't know because I don't know how much of your symptoms are related to the heavy anti-parasitic protocol medication protocol you're taking. And
I wasn't on it at that time because I was going back for my follow-up.
So I'm not sure. It's something just to keep an eye on. I mean, I don't think it's something you're going to be cursed with for the rest of your life. You're just kind of in a difficult spot right now.
Okay.
Sensitive to meat based on my throat cramping, eating after fasting. Eating after fasting, you're just going to have to find foods you can adjust to. But throat cramping, what do you mean by throat cramping?
It wasn't I saw the throat. It's the roof of my mouth. Like
the roof of your
in
mouth?
the back. It's weird. I've never had it any other time. It lasts like 30 seconds. It's not like so painful, but it's like, that's weird,
It's just like a sensitivity.
I guess so, but I eat chicken and bacon all the time. Otherwise, it's something that just kind of dissipates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that is.
Okay. I just wanted to mention it because I thought it was weird.
Yeah. Sometimes like things you can remember like that can mean a lot, but I don't know what it means, so I can't help you.
Ask the universe. I don't know. Yeah.
Calcium taking even more oxalate foods. Theoretically, but you got to be very careful because that epigastric pain we think could be related to it. So I don't know if you want to push it or not. Should I take calcium during fasting days? You can. You can take any mineral during your fasting
Okay.
days. And calcium, potassium, and minerals are generally a good idea during fasting.
Okay.
Yeah. How often do you suggest repeating Cyrex labs? Okay, well, let's take a look. So your blood-brain, so you didn't have any patterns of leaky gut, so I don't think we need to like jump into that one. You didn't have any patterns of blood-brain barrier permeability, so that's good. You just had these autoantibodies. These you don't need to recheck, every few months or anything. You can test in a year or see if things are doing okay.
Just
Right now, I
periodically.
think leave this until your like gut is totally improved. I won't even bother testing this. Okay.
Okay.
And then well, those are at least the Cyrex ones. Okay.
Great.
Supplements to help with emulsification absorption.
We did that one.
You take digestive enzymes, right?
I definitely.
Yeah. Okay. And is a target for eosinophils with parasitic infection 0%? Let's see, I know you have blood work in here. Do you remember what your eosinophils were?
It was 3.
It was 3, okay. Yeah.
It was 5 before, and it's been as high as I think 6.
And this is percentage. So normally anything above 3 and above is something suspicious. It just means your immune cells that are fighting parasites are active. They may never go down to 0, but 1 or 2% is pretty normal with people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. What do you accomplish? Understand if I'm on track nutritionally. If not, what are 2 tests? I think you're on track with everything. You just overwhelmed with a lot of stuff. I mean, this is a persistence, battle, like emotional endurance, persistence. You're doing great.
Thank you. It's nice to hear.
You have a head injury and you're able to keep neuroinflammation down and stay in ketosis and start to doing fasting. That's helping your brain injury recover.
Yeah.
There really isn't many things we know about that helps brain injuries recover.
Yeah.
You're doing the lifestyle for brain recovery. You're just dealing with really terrible gallbladder and heavy helminth infection throughout your body and medication to treat that, and then trying to figure out the right thyroid hormone and a lot of that stuff right now.
So a lot. Yeah.
So I think you're still going to have positive effects from everything you're doing. Okay, please. I didn't really see any need to do any lab work, and I know the person you'd worked with had wanted you to do some heavy metal testing, but you didn't end up doing that, right?
No, I didn't, based on your response. Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll get you a video filed. Anything else? Okay. Okay, check that. So heavy metals in urine tests, what you got to realize is everyone is going to be positive with that.
Yeah.
It's like any single human being that does a chelator, that does a urine test, is going to have metals.
Yeah.
100%. Like
for sure.
It would be crazy. It would be impossible to have like 0% agent to show up with it. So I think it helps you. I think you're too vulnerable for that. So that's why I was suggesting.
Okay. Yeah. That's kind of what I understood. So
repeat hair tissue mineral analysis. Hair tissue mineral analysis is, I don't know. I don't want to worry about it. It's not the best.
It's already done. Yeah.
Like high reproducibility test. That's a problem. Some people love it in the world of nutrition, and some people just go like, "There's no reproducibility. I'm not confident in its numbers," and I'm kind of in that camp. The gold standard is red blood cell analysis. That's highly reproducible, sensitive.
Is that like the SpectraCell one?
Yeah.
Okay. You and my nutritionist have the same opinion. Okay.
Yeah, evidence-based.
Cool.
Evidence-based opinion.
Yeah, just opinion.
Okay, and then were additional thing with parasite meds. Okay, round 7 through 9. Okay.
And you skipped the tooth.
Which ones?
I did not pull my tooth.
Yeah, it's probably good. You're just vulnerable right now. Like, that's the thing. If you do too much, you might crash.
You were saying like the infection.
How do they identify the suspected infection of your tooth?
he does electrical acupuncture meridian testing.
Okay. It's a big move just based on that test, like
Yeah. Yeah. He's here, you're on the other end of the spectrum, and I'm in the middle,
yeah.
more over towards you.
I just yeah, let's hold on. Okay. These are the frontal lobe symptoms. We did the GI here. Okay, I saw your labs here. Are you getting so these are the ones you translated for me, right?
Yeah.
The ones in high. There were so hemoglobin A1C 27, low end of the range, 4.6. I just keep an eye on this one still. I'm not too worried about that. These markers down here,
I've kind of always gone down lower when I've been fasting and doing things like I'm doing. So.
Yeah. Your transferrin and total iron binding capacity are indications of some kind of iron overload.
Iron overload.
Yeah.
Is that maybe due to me not really having much of a period?
I don't know. And your serum iron levels are okay. And these levels are just very lightly low. Like the range is 1.9 to 3 or 1.8.
Iron
That's just
overload.
something to keep an eye on.
Okay.
But your serum iron levels are not really high. Again, when you're on some of these meds, all types of things can change.
Go wonky.
Yeah. Okay, apolipoprotein B and glucose 110.
I think they pulled my blood. I couldn't get in the door of the lab, and I think I was starting to get stressed out because the door was locked, and I thought I wasn't going to be able to get in. And I'm attributing the glucose to that because it's not usually that high.
Yeah. Some of these labs just don't make any sense, to be honest with you.
Really? So maybe it's
for example, you see your transferrin levels abnormal, but your serum iron's normal.
Maybe you think the lab might not be doing.
No, it's just sometimes this happens. I mean,
okay.
So we can't dismiss them. We just have to keep an eye on it. But there's nothing in your labs with this profile that would says we need to change anything we're doing.
So my TSH had gone back up with a lower dose of T3. It had gone back up to the mid 2 range before. And then I was really surprised to see it having dropped off down to 0.35 again here.
Yeah. And that could be different throughout different parts of the day also.
I do it right first thing in the morning. So
yeah. I wouldn't be too worried about that. Okay. These are just the labs.
The same thing in Swedish, yeah.
And then you did your scale. It's very, very organized.
I feel like there's no other way to do this.
Well, that's good. Okay.
It made me realize how much more energy I have in the morning than the afternoon and the evening, that's for sure.
When you were doing this, because we're this is page 17 of 160. Did you see any patterns?
Did I see any patterns?
What kind of patterns did you see filling this out for yourself?
It's 2 o'clock is the worst by far.
2 o'clock is the worst.
Yep. And when I put down a 1, I'm struggling. That is a horrible day. And then I get all the way up to 4s and sometimes a 5, but I don't see any there. Okay. It makes me acknowledge how varied everything is because I'm in the habit of talking myself out of my experience, and this doesn't let me do that.
So when we look at your key, 1 is the worst, right?
Yeah.
And 5 is better.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I can see what you're saying, 2 o'clock.
So when I've done stuff like this, it's helpful because I can say, oh my gosh, wait a minute, this is something that just happened. And then I can go back and look at these different days and say, I did it here too, and it had the same effect. Otherwise, I won't remember.
So you put your clean bathroom with chemicals. Do you think that had anything to do with it? Or do you think it's more likely now that your blood sugar, your ketone levels drop?
All right. Honestly, when we lived in Japan, we had a house cleaner, and the day after she came consistently, I was exhausted and depressed, feeling on the couch. And I didn't even do the cleaning. It was just me being in the house. And we looked at my log and it had it every time.
I mean, the prime glial cells will always, if you got any systemic inflammation, it's going to shut down your It's going to activate areas that have these glial cells overactive, and that's going to, in your case, it's your frontal lobe.
Yeah.
Really impair that. Okay.
Yeah, it's usually like the moody, extremely moody after that.
Anything else you've noticed that was pretty significant with your as you tracked yourself here? Like
Um,
December, you're doing better, it seems like.
what's
Right?
that?
It seems like when you look at your
Oh
grading,
yeah, some numbers are better.
yeah, we don't see any ones here.
Yeah,
So that's doing better.
it's true.
Let me get into, let's see. January ones. You get some threes in here. Fours. Okay, that's
Four
better.
is good.
That's
Yeah.
way better. If one is low, one is the worst and five is the best. I mean, overall, it looks like the last one you're doing better there. Yeah, your pictures are so cool.
Nobody wants to see them.
Well, I want to see them. They're great.
Thank God.
You
Because everybody's like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know what else it would be because
yeah, people
it's."
don't believe you anytime you have like helmets come out. Like no one
Do you
believes.
think that's what that is, right?
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Okay, done. Mic drop. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, Google it. You'll see the exact same picture. I mean, that's what it is.
Oh,
So
I
now
don't like
here,
that
like
about
here
it.
in January, you start to go down.
January, I was taking medication again. The first 3 or 4 days of that medicine is usually a dip,
So, okay,
and then I come back out of it.
so there's some direct relationships between your brain function, endurance, and the meds.
Yep. Yeah, I get pretty moody and sometimes tired.
Okay,
Definitely.
okay, so that helps to have you the way you organize it so well. Helps see that pattern. And then this is better.
Oh yeah, that was look, that's in the middle of the parasite meds even, but I was in Missouri and doing HIIT every single day. Was I in Missouri? No, I wasn't. I was here.
No, there was a stretch in January that was
I was feeling like, oh my God, I remember what I used to feel like.
Okay, that's great.
But my legs are still a little weak. Like my body can feel good, but I have notes about leg weakness. It's like hard to walk places.
So like
We don't,
five would be considered normal for you, right? Like
five is amazing.
five is
Five is how I want to go for it. Like
okay.
I
Well,
think we can do it.
definitely getting to hitting fours and fives. It's with a lot of these symptoms.
Yeah. It like Greg described in his case study review video that you had at the end of the materials there.
Yeah.
He said like, "Oh, I feel joy again. I feel like a peripheral awareness of the people around me and everything going on, and instead of it just being like collapsed tunnel vision.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing with neuroinflammation is like and as you fast, like you'll keep getting rid of some of these glial primal cells, but you can still have activation and then you feel like you're back to zero, but you're really not. You're just going through it. Here like you have a bad week again.
Mhm.
And okay.
Yeah. I do notice that my heart rate goes higher with these medicines. That's probably to be expected.
But here's so much better here. So February, fours and threes. That's good.
Yeah, you know what? It's quite a bit of good numbers in there.
Then you're back down. Jet lag recovery. So this is like your brain fatigue probably from your trip or when you
Yeah, it was maybe like a whole week when I first got to Missouri before I was like normal again. And I mean, we lived in Japan and flew back and forth all the time, and it was never really like that. It was a day or two. I would be sleepy, but nothing like this. This was crazy.
And then here we were back to functioning better. February 10th to 16th.
And then
okay. Well,
so with the HIIT,
yeah.
with the HIIT, is it the number of heart rate spikes that I want, or is it like length of time and heart rate spikes, or is it, like what am I looking to optimize?
Well, everything that increases your heart rate and high intensity has been shown to have some benefit, whether you do it more
Mhm.
frequently. The problem when you do it really long is you can fatigue your brain and you can also create a lot of free radicals.
Yeah.
So I would say for you, it'd be more important to do little bumps instead of trying to do extended periods of time.
So I'm up to like 18 minutes now with 15-second bursts, but I have like a minute and 45 seconds off and just keep extending the length of that or compressing it.
I think you're pretty good. I would just stay there for a while. That's pretty
Really?
good. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Don't, we're not trying to win a marathon. It's trying to activate your brain chemistry for recovery.
Oh, you've got Americans.
The point is we want you to recover. We don't want you to be exhausted. So as long as you're getting activation and stimulating your brain and getting a neurochemical, magic that happens when you get your heart rate up like that, that's good. But we're always worried about you fatiguing your motor system, your frontal lobe, and all that. So be careful.
Okay.
So more frequent. Okay, so it seems like there's definitely a relationship between when you start your meds and some of your symptoms, and also like when you travel and had a bad flare up, that seemed to be a problem there. There's probably some hypoketonemia that's taking place. I think you're on the right track. I really wouldn't change anything you're doing.
Okay.
As long as you're good with it. Are you okay with it?
Yeah, I feel good.
When do you finish your next round of parasite drugs? Where are you with everything?
I think I'm about a week in on the first round. I have until maybe 2 weeks from now.
And that's the last round.
No,
Then I've got 2 more.
2 more rounds. Okay, so okay. So that'll be number 7, and you have 9, right? 9 rounds total.
Yeah, yeah, he gave me that, and I was kind of like, okay.
So we don't really need to do a follow-up for a few months because we just you're still on track to do everything. So I'd say maybe in 4 months, 5 months, if you feel like sooner, it really is, I would just continue doing those 3-day fasting like you're doing. If you did 4,
yeah,
the way you're cycling everything and doing everything is good. Your notes are fantastic. See if you can, and the key thing is if you can just let me know in an email, do you notice any change in energy when you start to add a meal and that window of time, that 11 to 4 o'clock, that keto thing? And then also you may want to just take a look at your high intensity and see if you maybe cut down to like 15 minutes, if that makes any difference for your legs.
Okay.
You might be exceeding your mitochondria capacity right now.
Okay. I was going to ask you if I should do it twice a day. I need you to help me. I'm going the wrong direction all the time.
Oh, you're doing good. Any questions for me?
No, I got your letter about the sabbatical. I'm happy for you. Thank you for all the notice. I think that's going to be great to have some time off.
Thank you.
And just thanks for everything. Susan's been an angel.
Yeah, we'll get you on the right track. You're on the right track already. You're just going through a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Whack-a-mole, right? Okay.
I'm talking about 4 to 5 months. If anything new comes up, please let us know. And then just stay on track with everything you do.
Okay. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Have a good day.
You.
Yeah.